Hi guys, today we're going to go ahead and start building a brand new electric skateboard. Before I begin, you will obviously want to get a deck. Alright, nice deck. This is a Yachts Evo 40. It's a 40 inches long. It's a drop down deck. As you can see there, it sort of drops down. One of the good things about this deck is that the way it's shaped on the back, the concave, and the front, it basically allows you to have, with the curvier back, it gives you better stability at high speeds, and it still gives you very good turns. Alright, I have the Evo 36 that I built, check that out, and that one is 36 inches, so 4 inches shorter. A lot smaller board, so that's more like a mini longboard. This is sort of like a standard longboard size. Now, the deck is very important. When I first started building electric skateboards, I wanted to build like a really portable 28-inch, alright, which is even smaller than like a boosted Mini S. And I built and I put very powerful motors like the dual 6355 motors. The problem was, once you start going faster than like 20 miles per hour, your whole board starts wobbling, alright? I even swapped out the wheels for bigger ones. The problem is with smaller boards, there's less to absorb all that shock and it's a lot more stiffer. So I do suggest for your first build, 40-inch I would say is actually perfect. Alright, this is sort of a regular size and it's going to really absorb a lot of that shock, keep it a little bit safer, and your ride is going to be very smooth. Alright, for example, I have the boosted Mini S, but it's very uncomfortable. It's such a small board, everything gets absorbed into your legs. Versus longer boards, you're going to have a lot more stability, a lot more smoothness just in general. Alright, so go ahead and find the deck you want. For this project, obviously I'm going to be using the Evo Yachts 40, Evo 40. I got this at Daddy's board shop. But get a nice deck, it's going to make a huge difference in your ride stability and comfort. Alright, before we begin, you will obviously need to get trucks. Alright, that you can get like caliber 2 trucks with caliber 2 motor mounts. One of the problems I found with those, sometimes the angle when you put it on, it doesn't align correctly and you have to drill out small holes. And the motor mounts are very unstable. So if you guys don't want to deal with all that DIY stuff, one of the trucks I recommend this is the first time trying. You could try Haggyboard trucks. This is a Taiwanese company. I had a video on it. One of the coolest things about their trucks and motor mounts is that it fits like just perfect. So there's no movement like laterally. It just milled perfectly. And also it has a 8mm shaft and 10mm shaft. So you can use bigger all-terrain wheels, or you could just use regular street wheels, which I'm going to be using regular street wheels. So I'm going to be using actually 120mm cloud wheels from I Wonder. So this is going to go on here. So I've got my wheels. Also, you'll need a DrESk open source controller. I got the top of the line Flipski DrESk 6.6.0 Plus. This one also comes with a built-in anti-spark, and I'll be using my own DIY batteries that's bypassing BMS, which means I'll actually need the anti-spark feature to keep it safe. I got the DrESk. Also, you need some connectors and stuff. I'll cover that when I actually get into the DrESk installation. So if it's your first time building an electric skateboard, I highly recommend watching all of the videos before you begin and know exactly what you're doing. This is like my 11th or 12th electric skateboard, but these trucks are new and I haven't actually not tried them, so there might be some DIYing I've been doing through this video. So this particular setup, I'm going to be using Flipski 6374 motors. These are pretty powerful motors, going to give you about 3300 watts, 3250 watts each. I think it's rated for 80 amps per motor. You're going to get around 6000 watts with dual motors. Now, one of the motors have not come in yet, so I might actually install one of the motors first and see how it runs. I just want to see how it runs with just one motor. This is an opportunity to do that. So make sure you have a deck. You have trucks that are made for building an electric skateboard, motor mounts for those trucks. If you're using caliber 2 trucks, the caliber 2 trucks have a different shape. So you will have to get certain, so just make sure whatever motor mounts you get is compatible. Now, if you want to just follow along exactly how you do it, you can also get the Haggyboards. I'll put the links to everything I use in the video in the description. So you should have the deck, 2 trucks, 2 motor mounts, 2 motors, whatever you want to use. I'll be using a 6374. You can use a 6354. You can use a 6355, 6354. You can even go with 5065. Or 5055. My goal in this project is to build a really fast electric skateboard that's around 6,000 watts. That's gonna go really fast, accelerate really fast. This is probably gonna have top speed near 40 miles per hour. Alright, if you want to do that, I would stick with something at least 6355, 6354 motors, or 6374, or you can go larger 6380. Alright, so make sure you have the motors, deck, trucks, and also you'll need battery. I built my own battery. I have a full tutorial guide on that. If you don't know anything about electronics, you probably don't want to build your own battery. I do have a background in computer engineering. I've worked at a computer chip company. So all my life I've been into electronics. I've been, working in the field of, engineering, electronics, programming. All this stuff I was able to learn fairly quickly, but if you don't have background in that, I do highly recommend just buying a battery. Meepo has some really good batteries. They have the 2170 Samsung 40T batteries. Backfire also has the 12S 2P battery, just like the battery I built. But it does cost like $300-400 bucks, but it's totally worth it. Or you can go with like 10S 4P, 10S 5P, with 18650 Samsung 30Q batteries. I'll try to find some links that you can buy if you're gonna just buy the battery. That way you don't have to build your own battery, especially if you don't know anything about electronics, and that's gonna keep it safe. So just for today, I'm just gonna go ahead and mount the motor mounts and the trucks and the motor. So the first thing you'll do on a board like this that's designed, you'll see that Landiot's sign here. This is the front and this is the back. Alright, that's the way this board has been designed. If your board is symmetrical, then you can mount it any way. But it doesn't really matter which way I mount the trucks. So I'm gonna just go ahead and mount this truck over here. And most of the longboards, you want the bushings facing outwards. Alright, for the bigger longboards, you want it facing outwards. You can have it facing inwards, but most people have it facing outwards. Hey guys, so the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and mount the trucks on there. Now, some of the motor mounts, you may have to mount the motor mounts before you mount it on there, or you can take it out later if you have to. For this particular setup, I'm going to be using a battery box and also a double stacked battery pack. Since my battery pack is a little big and my battery box is a little bit big, and this is a drop down, I don't have that much clearance here. All right, maybe a 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna go ahead and raise that and also soften the ride with some risers. All right, this is a 1/2 inch riser, and you can go ahead and use as many risers as you want. I'm gonna use 1/2 inch and a 1/8 inch to make it a little bit taller, so I have a little bit more clearance. I'm probably better off not using a drop-down deck like this, but since I really like the deck and I've already installed it on the Evo 36, even though small clearance, I'm doing fine on the street roads where I'm going to be riding most with this. So I'm just going to go ahead and build it. But make sure to think about that. Your clearance is very important. Like I said, this is going to be mostly street model. I'm not going to go off-road or anything like that, so it should be fine. I'm going to go ahead and install 4 screws. All right. For this particular board, you have 8 points, so you can put it closer to the center, or you can put it farther to the outside. But I'm going to be obviously putting it farther towards the outside. So let me just insert 2 of the screws real quick. I can put the rest later. Whoops. And I'm going to go ahead and put my riser, the 1/8, and then the half inch. And I'm going to put the trucks on top. And I'm going to go ahead and put the nut over. Now, if you're using a lot of risers like I do, you may need obviously bigger screws. I'm using a 2-inch screws. And you can lay it on the side and then just work on it. Let me just screw in real quick. If you have a skate tool, you can just go like that and just drill it in there. bottom screw in there. And I like to actually manually screw in the rest. I do recommend not using the drill to screw it all in. Sometimes you can strip out the nuts, which is not good. Okay, let me just hand tighten the rest of it. I just where to get these screws? I just got these screws at the hardware store. This is a 10/24 up screws. You can also use popular sizes 10/32. All right, so that's in there real nicely. I got a real nice lift off there. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and install the other side the same way. Since I built a lot of boards, I just grab a whole box of this, and that way I don't have to keep buying more screws. There are Allen wrench ones. I don't like using the Allen wrench ones too much. I like the regular Phillips screws, right? Just because it's just easier to deal with, in my opinion. Now my tutorial might get real long, but I wanted to actually really just point out all the different things, little things. I could make this video really short, but you might miss a lot of the little things that you have to do. So that's why my video is going to be very detailed and very long. But I'll have a summarized written version that you can follow if you don't have time, or you're already an expert. Alright guys, so I've got the risers on there, trucks on there. This is the front, this is going to be the back. I'm going to use this battery box I got on AliExpress. I just have a bunch of these extra parts. This one's actually pretty nice. It's a really strong case. You do have to cut out some of this stuff. I'll point that out later. But it also has cutouts for your ESC, so you can have your metal showing through here for heatsink effect. I don't have a ton of clearance, but this board isn't too flexy. So long as I have some clearance, I should be good. You can use any other battery box, but I really like these because it's real strong. Alright, the next step, you are going to have to mount your motor mounts. Now these instructions are only going to be for Haggyboard motor mounts, obviously, because that's what I'm using. This one is actually really cool. It allows you to attach your motor like this, and then go ahead and attach it to the actual motor mount. Right? And it's got these nylon nuts, placed for nylon nuts, so you don't have to use any Loctite. That's right, you don't have to use any Loctite. They've been designed it so there's there's 3 nylon nuts here, and when you attach it to the motor, the nylon nuts actually hold the motor. Because the way it's designed, once it's mounted, the motor mount, the nylon nuts cannot be unscrewed by vibration, right? Which is really nice. And then it's got additional nylon nuts that you can put in there to actually mount it to the motor mount. Again, you don't need Loctite to install your motors. Now the only problem I found with these were actually designed for longer shaft motors. So if you want to do it right, I would actually get the motors from Haggyboards. But since I ordered the Flipski motors, I'm going to somehow make it work. It's a little short, but it should still work. So what you want to do is get this aligned on your trucks, right? And go ahead and do a dry fit test, and obviously it's going to fit this way. And look at how your wire is going to come out, because you could fit it, the wires pointing down, wires pointing sideways, etc, etc. For my particular build here, I'll probably make the wires going down. So I'm gonna have the wires going down. That way it sticks away from the motor, and that way I don't need to put additional restraint to get the wires out. Or you can have it going out this way. You can also have it going this other way and coming back in. But I'm gonna mount it this way, so I'm gonna just go ahead and take the mounts out. Here, I can just leave the motor mount on there, so I know which way I want to do it. Also note how it goes in. You're supposed to have the square going in this way. Make sure you have the right side going in. Alright, so I need to make it fit like this. So next, what you want to do is you'll need to insert the nylon nuts. Alright, make sure you insert it top here and bottom into these. Oh, you don't need nylon nuts there. Make sure you put the 3 nylon nuts. Alright, that's for mounting to the motor later. So I'm going to put the 3 nylon nuts, nylon insert nuts, sorry, correction. So it's in there tightly like that. This is going to be the direction of this way. So I'm going to attach it just like that. So the wires come down. I forgot to mention, actually, there's no nylon nuts on this, but when you cover over it, there's no way for the screws to come off, right, to unscrew. So that's why this is a really awesome design. And I'm going to go ahead and insert 4 screws that's provided with the motor mounts. And go ahead and tighten it all the way, and just a half a turn after it's fully tight should be good. So it's all tight. I'm gonna just do maybe a half turn, maybe just a tad. All right, just make sure it's tight. You don't have to over tighten it. All right, the way these motor mounts are designed, the screws cannot come off. As you can see, once it's on the motor mount, all right, there's no space for the motors to unscrew, which is the beauty of this mount. So once it's in there, you'll also need to insert a nylon nut this way, just like that. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this in there, put right over it, and grab the longest screw that came with the kit, and you're gonna put it in here. And this also allows you to basically make your belt tension, customize it later. So the more you screw, the more tension you're going to put onto the belts. So it's an adjustable built-in tension, motor tensioner. And then you're going to go ahead and put the 3 screws. And you can see the nylon nuts are there, so you do not need to put any Loctite, which is the beauty of this motor mounts. And I've been using a lot of DIY stuff. I will use DIY-E, I've used Torque board, I use Vanguard, and you know, after trying those and then trying this, I'm actually amazed at this motor mount because, you know, this keeps everything safe because you got nylon nuts. You got a design where the motor screws won't come off by itself from riding. And that's the biggest problem. Now, as far as the motor mount here, don't just leave it a little loose so you can adjust it later because you'll still have room to adjust later. Alright, you'll tighten this when you actually put the belts in and the wheels in. Now go ahead and plug it into your motor mount, and you'll need to insert the big screw. Alright, it's nice and in there, and obviously find the angle you want. Alright, I'm gonna have it as low as possible. Now some people like to have it out here. I don't actually recommending it having it on outside like this. Because what happens is when you stand your board, it's going to sit on your motors and scratch it. So I like to put it in here, and this also keeps everything discreet, and people won't know you actually have an electric skateboard unless they actually take a look at the underside. Imagine how your wheel fits, or put the wheel there. Try to see how much clearance you want for the motor. So I'm gonna you can have it like 90 degrees, or you can have it angled slightly down. So I'm gonna probably angle it slightly down. Now, if you want to make sure it's even with the other side, you can grab like something hard and put it there. So I'm gonna put this here, something to space it. All right, it's just a random bottle I have here. All right, this way I can have an even fit on this side and the other side also. Whoops. Let me just use this, and I'm gonna just tighten it a little bit. Make sure it's there. And for the other side, also do a same fit. I'll probably take it out later. So I'm just going to use this as a guide. So I have the same fit. And just tighten it a little bit. Now don't strip it. Don't strip your screws. That's bad. So just tighten it as much as you can, and then maybe just a tiny wedge, right? So tighten it as much as you can, and just a wedge. All right, that should be fine. Now I don't know how well these motor mounts will hold up, but these are milled perfectly for that spot, so you don't have, it can only go up and down, which is really nice. and I think they will hold up real well. If it doesn't, I can always apply some Loctite red to keep it in place. But I'll test. I think it's real solid in there. So there you have it. And you can see from the side, it's very even. All right, so that's in there. I'm gonna have to wait for the other motor. And you can see how the wires are coming out this way. There's tension going down this way, and the wire's not gonna hit the motor, which is the most important part. You can also tie it back here, or you could use something to tie it. But this way, I don't have to use anything, and it naturally just goes down. And this is where my VESK will sit. All right, next step, I'm going to install the wheel pulley to the wheel. For this, I got from DrESkateboard.com. They have, in my opinion, they have the best pulleys, especially if you want the full 15 millimeters. So most skateboards will have like 15 millimeters, 12 millimeters, 10 millimeters, 9 millimeters. Obviously, the bigger you use, it's better. It's gonna keep everything from not slipping the belt. All right, especially if you're building a high-powered. If you're doing any 6.3 millimeter motors like 6374, I do highly recommend going with 15 millimeter belt and pulleys. This is a 40T. Since I'll be using slightly larger than normal wheels, this is 120 millimeter. I'm gonna go with 40T. This is gonna give me slightly better gearing. For those of you who don't know what it is, so basically you'll have a motor pulley that goes on like this. All right, this is a 16 tooth, and you'll have a wheel pulley that's going in like this. All right, and the size of these, this is a 16T, this is a 40 teeth. All right, so 16 teeth, 40 teeth. So if you do 40 divided by 16, it's gonna give you 2.5, 1 to 2.5 gearing, which gives you 2.5 times more power if you didn't have any gearing. For example, if you're using direct drive. All right, so most skateboard kits will be like 16T and 36T. That's fine too. For motors like 90 millimeters, 100 millimeters, and below, you should be fine with 16T, 40T, 16T, 36T. But like I said, since I'm using slightly bigger wheels, I want slightly bigger gearing because I don't want to lose torque. All right, so I got the 40T. This is all you really need. Just order the 40T drive wheel pulley kit. And what you're gonna do is install it on 2 of your wheels that you want to use. Now I had another video on it, but I'll show you this process again. And with the DIYelectricskateboard.com, the torque boards wheel pulley, they come with Loctite installed already, so you don't have to use additional Loctite. Now when you install this, make sure it fits through here. All right, if it doesn't fit, some of the wheels, sometimes you have to drill out a little bit, but these wheels fit perfectly. All right, so I just got to put it in. So for this particular wheel, there's a flat side and there's a concave side. You'll want to use the flat side for the pulley, so it gives you more clearance. If you put it like this, look, your belt's gonna go inside the wheels. And also for your wheel installation, most wheels do not come with bearings, so just get skateboard bearings with spacers. So you'll need a spacer, you'll need a bearing, you need a spacer, make sure it's facing up, and then go ahead and insert your bearings like that. All right, so once that's in, you're good to go. You're going to go ahead and put this hole on this side, align it so the hole's gonna go outside the plastic piece here, and you're gonna go ahead and insert the other end here, and go ahead and insert one of the screws in there, and go ahead and try to screw it in there by hand. All right, that's in there, and get the other rest of the screws in there. And I do recommend using a electric screwdriver. All right, that way it makes things a lot easier. Go ahead and just screw in slowly. All right, for the last part, try to use your hand so you don't over tighten it. And make sure it's flush in there, which is flush in there. And you don't have to over tighten it, just tighten it, and a half a turn after that should be fine. From time to time, make sure your screws don't come off. They shouldn't come off, but you know, always take precaution when you're building your own DIY electric skateboard. You're always gonna sort of check on every little thing because sometimes screws do come loose, right? And if they do come, you can catch it early and fix it. So I got the screws in there pretty tight without being too tight. This wheel is ready to go, and we'll just put it in there for fit testing here. And that fits in there perfectly. I've got enough space. I'm gonna just do a quick test. Actually, that will fit just perfect. That's gonna just fit perfect right there. Let me go ahead and show you. So make sure you got the wheel all the way in. I've got nice clearance here, and my pulley, I can go ahead and align it. I might have to pull it out a little bit, but I should have no problem with enough clearance there, and that's just gonna fit perfectly right there. Now I just need to find the right size belt, so I'm gonna actually go ahead and do a dry fit real quick. And what I'm gonna do is go ahead and get your pulley, and there should be a key for your motor. Go ahead and find the key. Alright, when you order the motors, make sure you get it with the pulley. That way everything you need comes together. For this particular flip ski motor, it came with a pulley. It came with these two tiny screws. Don't lose them. And I'm just gonna do a dry fit so you don't lose them. Just go ahead and insert them into the holes real quick. And it should have came with a metal key. So later on, when you do finalize it, you'll have to put some Loctite. But right now, like I said, I'm just doing a dry fit real quick. Get these little tiny grub screws into the holes so you don't lose them. That's the first thing I'll do. Let me actually change the camera angle once I put these in, because I don't want to lose them. Paranoid about it. So you'll see two little tiny grub screws that come with these pulleys. Alright, so I'm just going to screw them in so I don't lose them. And just always leave it in your pulley, because sometimes they're so tiny you just fall on the ground, and then you don't want to not be able to finish your project. There is a key, alright, which is for your motor. And I'm just going to simply place it over where it goes in. Let me actually take this out real quick so you can see better. See that key slot? Alright, this will help. This will keep the motor super tight. And you're going to go ahead and insert it. So usually the key is supposed to fit, but there are times where it won't fit and the key is actually too big. And I don't know, sometimes you have to DIY it. Always have a Dremel with you. So I'm just going to Dremel down a little bit because it's just a little too big. I'm not sure why it's shipped like this. Usually it should just slide right in. But today it just doesn't want to fit. So I read online that you could just Dremel it out until it fits. It's almost there, but I want to get it a little bit further up. I'm just going to Dremel it a little bit off. And when building a skateboard, the Dremel is going to come in really handy. There's sometimes where you're going to have to just really DIY stuff, or let's say this key doesn't fit for some reason. It should fit out of the box, but you know, maybe manufacturer defect, I don't know. But I want to get this working tonight, not tomorrow. Then go ahead and just grab the Dremel and try to see if you can fix the issue, obviously. So I'm able to almost get it in there. There we go. So it's nicely in there. So get the key in there, and it should fit snug. If it doesn't fit at all, don't push it in there. Like I said, try to just file it out. You can see I just filed a little bit. I think Flipski just sent me the wrong size key. But rather than wait, I just made it work by just fitting it in. Now it fits perfectly. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and basically do a fit test real quick. And let's go ahead and get this wheel back in there. Make sure when you fit the wheel in, sometimes the bearings pop off. It's not popping off. I'm gonna go ahead and align it just like here. And I'm gonna get the pulley, just use my eyes, to where I want it just perfectly fit. So I'm gonna pull it out just a tad. Right. Make sure it stays above this screw right here, the motor screw. Make sure it's above it, because the belt's gonna go above it. That's about right. And I'm just gonna lock the grub screws in real quick to the key. Alright, don't make it too tight because we're gonna take it out later and apply some Loctite. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the 2 screws. So as you can see, I'm pretty much ready. Now I just need to find the right belt size. And I'm just gonna try a random belt I have here. It's a 335M. I don't know if it's the right size or not. I just have a bunch of random ones. Let's see if that fits. If it fits, we're good. If it doesn't, then I might have to order some new belts, or try some of the other belts I have at home. So this is just a random one. 335M is too big. So I think it's gonna be more like something like around 300. So I'm gonna have to see if I do have a 300. The closest thing to 300 is 280. I don't know if this is gonna fit. Also, another reason is that I have the 40T pulley, and that's sort of an odd size. This is actually first time trying a 40T pulley on the wheel. And we'll see if I have a belt size that will fit it. Otherwise, our project will be delayed. And that's just, yeah, that's just, even with the, it's just too short. So I think it's just gonna be around 300. I'm just guessing, but I'm pretty sure it's about 300. So I'll have to order some new belts before I can continue. Anyway, that's pretty much it for today. You're just gonna have to get the right belt size. Obviously, this is a custom board, and I ordered a bunch of parts from different sources, and I'm just trying to put this together, which is probably the most fun thing about building a skateboard. So we'll continue this. I'll order some belts, different size belts. Just make sure I have enough belts to fit it. So due to the fact that I'm using an odd size pulley that I don't normally use, so I'm gonna have to order that belt size. I'm pretty sure it's 300, and give it a little play here. So a lot of these kits will actually come with the right belt. So if it's this first time, you may want to stick with belt sizes that are proven. And I can do a fit test here. So this is 330, and I can actually measure this out. I just need to figure out how many more inches. So it's sticking out about 11 millimeters. So that's about 22 millimeters. So this is 330. So 300 would actually be perfect. But I might order 300 and 305 just to be sure. But yeah, we'll continue this next time. For today, we learned how to mount the trucks, sort of get the right belt size, and again, if you're building a custom board like this where you're not buying a kit, you're gonna have to find out the right length belt. So right now I have the 330 millimeter belt. Now I need to get it like a 300 millimeter. So you can do a search for 305M belt on Amazon, or measure out. What you want to do is measure out with a ruler. Just what you can do is get a piece of paper and wrap it around your pulleys, right? And figure out how long your belt size is going to be. And whatever that is, go ahead and type, let's say 300 millimeters, so 300 5M belt. And you're going to be able to find a 15 millimeter belt. All right, if you're using 15 millimeters. So I found that. I'm going to go ahead and order that, and that should fit. But I'm also going to order 310 in case I need belts next time, or maybe I need a different size. This size will be custom fit for this particular pulley set. So that's how you can find the right pulley size. So I'll continue this. This is the end of part 1. Maybe part 2, I might work on the battery box and the VESC while I'm waiting for the belt. But have a great day, subscribe, and stay tuned for part 2 of building your own DIY skateboard.